I forgot it was muted again. Um, because I was new music to start beginning, I need to make the projectile tool script, or adding a projectile to a frame tool script. And it's going to make it easier to edit the player's attacks, and so I think to whoever is here or is not here, I really wish the chats were easily able to be viewed. But we don't have the bandwidth. Okay. I also need a variable that is timer, or let's call it um, no, it's a timer. Timer underscore, just train time. Or I guess it can just be called timer. And then frame timer. It's not indented. Like this, let's see. Unindented, okay. Da, da, da. I also need to do this. Dot owner equals this line. Okay. Let's try to do that now. 1 second. I forgot to put the if statement forward as well. Let me verify that it won't destroy everything by not having this step correctly. Okay, save it. We set the default value on. Go to the there, add hitbox. KY. I did not set the timer yet. Yep, so we want to set the timer to the projectile. And then we want to try and add it. Okay, no error. There is a timer that is set. Let's change the name of this to something by automatically doing the name. So this fixes names for the frames. This fixes the names for the projectile. This doesn't have a fixed name. But it could, like, name the timer duration or something. Timer.name equals did it ding timer. Okay, cool. Let us add projectile. The frame timer is named. We fix the names. And then we add the hitbox so we can edit it when we want to go into 2D. Click on the thing we want to edit, move it around, yada yada. Run the thing, see that it automatically is disabled. This needs some attack data. Can I just run it like that? Yes, and it automatically disables. Okay. Okay. Those can be deleted because I don't need them. That seems to work properly. Let me make sure that the names are reasonable. And rename this to frame. Alright. To consistent. Again, projectile script doesn't have much I'm considering redoing the animations or like movements of specific things along a path. Um, Using the past 2D node that I don't know how to use yet. Is it a node? Let me see what nodes there are for like paths. Yeah, past 2D, path follow. Those two are probably things I need to consider. Scale frames. And around. I should rename these to because we really need. Actually, I think the previous name was fine. I think about it. Max duration. Okay. So, have I done everything that I needed for the main functions? Attack manager seems fine. Stun manager is kind of the animation thing as well. Um, Scaling, movement, jumping, dashing, all defined. Okay, let's see some script stuff. Okay. I don't remember how gravity works currently. I think it's just a node attached to something that allows it to have gravity. Button plus sequence plus direction. I don't I don't think these have anything to do with it, so the only new thing to decide on is make an animation and everything. That's going to be a larger problem. So I will just work on the two motion inputs script. This script has like the main form of documentation for the thing. Okay. Um, let's start with assumptions. Okay. For these assumptions, um, and notation. To understand motion, understand some games, motion in what's were attack. Um, you have some familiarity with arrays and dictionaries. Okay. So then, so let me like make it simpler on myself for what the cases of motion inputs there are. Let's frame perfect. Um, just a marking, just a sequence. So this is 2, 3, 6 exact. Just a sequence, but no gap. So 2, 3, 6, or 2, 3, 3, 6, 6, 6 works. But no different input gaps. Um, then some error gaps. 2, 4, 3, 6 could work. 2, 3 underscore 6 that are valid. Can be spaced apart if they want to. Oh, that changes into italics here. an underline as well, depending on the number. And is there another form? Adding buffer allowance. Okay. Now, when I was making the motion input, how did we end up doing? For case one, it's probably pretty simple. Uh, for this assumption is you have a way to take player inputs and organize it into an array to check input history. Uh, okay, so then the simplest case to wait, one of the most common things in fighting games are motion inputs. But how do we make them in our own games? How to handle motion inputs like 236 light punch, not 4 light punch or 5 light kick. 8. 8 is not a common one. 2 heavy punch. Yeah. Okay. In this video, I will go through the versions of the process of making a input sequence reader that has that starts reading only exact sequences, then starts to add more flexibility. These ones might be the same, so let me put in or. Um, do I start on the code now or no? Okay, let's start with what the main concept is. Mhm. I probably might end up showing the move list thing here as well in this one. Make a sequence reader, non-exact sequence. Okay, let's start with the main concept. Images. Images slash clips. Okay, the basics are we look at a set of inputs and read them, then check against the reference to see if they match. Then we can decide if we want to do something different with it or not. Alright, I might want to get the PowerPoint. 1 second. I want to make an image or clip of that, or at least a draft of it. Once I have that, I can show a little bit more clearly what I need people to look at. So, okay. Probably gonna need both of these, so okay. And then LCD, this one, how to let's see, input manager for fighting. I really been forgetting to put this portion in the title. I guess I don't. I've been forgetting a lot. Okay. Uh, do I have ghost inputs that I need to mention? Probably not yet. Or, well, actually I have this, so I don't need it. I have this explanation in a different video. Okay, and then I want a new slide with the following. Delete these ones. Grab one of these. That's the full thing. I want a single one. Equals some attack. Okay. DP is forward, down, forward. No, forward, down, down, forward. Some other attack. 2C. Right kick. Some other attack. DP. Light kick. Or light punch, actually. DQs the F. Light punch. And then same with this. DP. This is, it's a forward down DP. What did I name it in code for this actually? Right DP down, left DP down, right DP up, left DP up. But that goes, I think, against the naming scheme, right? No, that's the first input though. Which bit probably makes more sense on why. Light punch. There's also quarter circle back. Get another attack button. Uh, Down, quarter circle, back, heavy kick. I should also get an image for these. Alright, so we show that we want to read a specific sequence and we want to get this in order from a list of inputs. So if I delete all of these, this delete. Let's put this in the center, this here, this here. Things that seem reasonable, probably neutral there. Put this below, copy this, paste it a few times. File out. I need text boxes for referencing what's the oldest and what's the newest. So oldest and newest. Okay. And then I think it would make sense for a clip that's a scanner of the inputs showing when a code is valid slowly. And that would essentially be a box that has no fill color, fill color none. Let me change the line color. Give me a different color, please. Just give me red. Then copy, paste. a little bit. Change this color to a green. Control C. Grab this green and copy it down here. Duplicate it like this, and that's a valid sequence. Okay. All right. Okay. So it would scan from left to right, and then go to the new line, and then once it hits that new line, you can say the sequence is found, and then return the value. All right. Now, if we were to go into the Obsidian to write out like the draft code. So, let's do the code block a little bit. Can I do this? And then, so first off, you must have an array with input history. Okay. Yeah, that's basically one of the assumptions. Okay, so for thing for frame in input history. I think Python would be makes more sense because that is the actual thing that's closest to it. Forget it. Markdown is nice. Okay. Okay, so for frame in input history, you'd want to check your current digit, your next digit, and then the digit after that. For frame in input history dot reverse, I'd say is an option. Um, what I did was I read my sequence in reverse. Uh, that's a thing. Two, you need to pick whether you will have the input given in reverse or you read in reverse. So for each frame, so this example would be for the example of reading 2, 3, 6. From the sequence of probably too many numbers. I think that's fine. I'll put 2 2s in there. Okay. So for the reading 2, 3, 6, you get a frame, and then that would essentially be 1 digit. I probably would say input this short story is of an array with type int. Array type int of some kind. Okay, so for a single frame in the input history, you'd want to first off check the frame. If frame equals 2, then tab if frame, okay, and then um, input history get frame plus 1. I don't remember if this would work, but it probably does. Not. Um, if frame equals 2, if frame equals 3, and then tab if frame equals 6. When I do this, it will return all the integers separately. So 5, and then 2, and then 5, 2, and it would go through all of them. But that's probably not what happens. So probably have a variable that's correct digit equals 0. Frame for the thing, frame equals 2. Digits plus equals 1. And then copy this again. We lift and we lift 2. This one is 1, this one is 2. Frames for these are each 3 and 6. This is the simplest form, which probably people would get. Okay. If correct digits equals 3, okay, this works if there are the 3 digits in sequence with gaps, which I guess is fine. However, yeah, no, this is fine. This actually is fine. No, I don't want exact sequences then. With stacked only one case, then it starts to add more flexibility. Okay, so right now it's only the case of 2, 3, 6. And I forgot to put double equal signs everywhere. Okay. If this is correct, print the quotation marks and the sequence is correct. Okay. It's a lot. And then at the end, after this, correct digits equals 0 to reset it. Sound. Okay. And this would just be to reset it. Alrighty. Anything else for sequences? Correct digit found. Okay. This would be the simple case. Adding more flexibility, such as reading the most recent sequence as the priority. And adding in the in an attack button, possibly. Yep. Sure. This reads exactly one sequence, as long as it's just in order correctly. If it's in the correct order in any way, shape, or form, it gets read. And then it resets if there isn't anything. Okay. Okay. Next up, after an exact sequence, we want to change it to, okay, now that we have the most basic reader, I want you to try to see if you can make it read a different sequence, this one, from the how to read a different sequence from this one. A different sequence from this one. A different sequence. 2, 5, 2. Then to read any sequence. Step by replacing some parameters with variables. With some numbers variables. Okay. Once you have that down, I want you equals bracket image slash h font slash try it yourself prompt that done. think about what kind of errors of logic errors there will be. Because in the current version of this, there's a ton of logic errors that can happen. First off, you can overcount and it will never increment past 3, um, which is kind of fine because you're only really looking for the sequence of 3. If it repeats in there, are you printing this twice? Is that what you want? Is it prioritizing the most recent sequence or the sequence that they have? Um, Currently, it doesn't do any directional checks for fighting games if they really wanted it to be checking direction. It doesn't work with an attack button. Mm-hmm. Um, Logic error there will be, or where there is more inflexibility. Let me make this like almost a function. Can I end all this? Can I press Control I, Shift I? Nope. Or Tab actually. So, okay. I'll call it reader and take in input underscore history colon type array. This should be like this with an integer. Um, it click on the changes you may expect. First off, frame equals a underscore digit. Or frame equals a variable for each case. Is something that you can expect. Uh, you can change the func to take in a second parameter, comma, digits, also of an integer, and then within this you could change this to be like What problems that may occur for your game specific system. Expect these would be expected from the prompt more so. Expect the challenge prompt. Okay. I think those are like the two changes that I would mainly be expecting. Uh, my code is so much more complicated than the simplified stuff that I'm trying to make. So that's easy to check. Okay. All right. The next problem that definitely can and probably will occur is that now in many games you can press more than one button a frame. So for my game, so you need to know more than in many games you can press more than one button in a single frame. Such as a direction and attack button. In this case, the input history needs to be expanded to take both of them. So, uh, both of them, you can use a nested dictionary and use a nested array and use the dot as function to find in one of the arrays if find in the find the specific button pressed during a frame. This would probably require an image for nested image, nested frame, or nested array tree, TRE. That would look like this. So we would have the input history, contains uh, input of a frame, and then this would contain individual inputs. Yep. So an example of this would be you have one level that's you'd have one array nested in another, and then in this you could have it like this. So 2, 3, 6, and then some of them might have like 12, comma, 34, and 56 at the same time. Array, single frame with 2 inputs, single frame with 1 input, single frame with 3 inputs, and of the array. Okay. Does this thing work at all still or no? It's not gonna load, is it? I suspect not. Oh no, that's surprising. Usually never loads. Maybe changing something did something. Mm. Okay, so apparently I changed the setting on and didn't realize it. Just wonderful. Okay, why is life confusing? Mhm. And then we could do some for loops to just like for inputs of a frame in this. We can print and see what it prints. Whatever, yeah, no, just whatever the printing makes sense for. Anyways, cool. Alrighty, what's the next problem that currently they would face? They would not be able to get the most recent sequence either, which would be a problem. If they wanted the most recent sequence, they'd have to do probably a few checks. Mm, Another problem is if you like the most recent sequence, please update rather than the first to be valid. Be used. First to be is used like the most recent sequence used rather than the first to be valid. Okay. Um, to do this, you would need to know what index the valid sequences are at. Then take the one corresponding to the most recent sequence. For my game, I use a dictionary with the key being the index and the value being the, I don't remember, it's the attack slash the sequence. You return anything? Yes, you return a valid dictionary. I could show my entire one. Where's I could show my sequence reader. Because I don't really would be simply easy to just tell people. So okay, this is below is the reader I am currently using. Using with not the same amount of clarity that may want to edit it to be to match the examples more closely and um, but generally it's like the same section. Okay. Awesome. And then also this this equals 3 or digits equals total underscore digit. To change it for the example, I would just change this value. So then it's basically the same for this portion of the code with a few slight differences, and then add a few more variables. So that should handle all the cases. Because so far I think my reader is complete um, for just reading the sequences. However, this does not cover the buffering because that's actually a separate function. Um, and I think at like the end of this, Some things to remember. A sequence can be as long as you want. It is up to the developer, and it can also be used to take in even single inputs to be checked, like a jump. I don't want to change what I have exactly, because if I change it too much, it's basically going to make it too different. Um, and it could be a problem. Uh, I could maybe show the thing running in code, um, which is show it running in code. Mm-hmm. Is there anything else on my mind for this? Mm-hmm. I'm trying to make these in a way that it's like broken up enough that you don't need entirely another section to make whatever the part you want is. So I think this is kind of enough. Like the main thing they need to know is kind of working with the nested arrays, and then uh, this is the a decent version of the function. I really am unsure why I kept everything in integers rather than arrays, because if I kept them in arrays, I wouldn't have to do the sequence splitter. Yeah, that might be something to do. Let me let me do something about that. Input manager, yada yada. Hashtag refactor sequence splitter. It's something that I could do and just don't split them. Sequence splitter. Um, could be removed if the sequences are turned into arrays instead, but I may not change it's because ints probably take less space, but if I wanted to make what happen? If I want to make like 3 punch buttons pressed in quick succession, like be a sequence, rather than like multiple attacks, to make sequences with the attack buttons. Sequence splitter can be removed. The sequence are turned to arrays, but I don't want to change that because it'll probably take less space. Integers probably take less space. But if I wanted to make sequence with the attack buttons, I could do it in a different game. Okay. Do I feel that's enough? Did I finish the attack of the move list script? Uh, move list management. Yeah, that's a thing I have. These are all needing to be indented. Right? There we go. Now it's all inside. Let's just hope I didn't break anything's formatting. No, it seems fine. Hey. Uh, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Responsible usage of AI in code. Da, da. One way to handle frame by frame stuff. Quick debug tool for frame by frame stuff. This is probably like the next thing I could do, I guess. And then it's like all in on the reader or the curves doing stuff. Hmm. Not sure if I want to continue for now today. Feel like I did a decent amount. My brain think a lot. Punk. I could duplicate this slide and then do the following. What's probably more believable is this is replaced with a few of these. I've seen down have a neutral before in there. Hmm. And now this green box is like this sequence, kind of, but it's actually three separate things. One here, one here, and then one way over here for this one. I don't need this line, probably. For this other example, it could just be another one. I have a lot of those. Okay. Valid slowly, and this time with gaps. Okay. Alrighty. So for the to-do list, I basically have this, and if I want to stall, I also have make the last script for the make the last script for it with the current list of script. Any of the videos that I want to make later on, they are going to be significantly more focused on fighting game elements in development. This is for the reason that there is really already a lot of player movement and other stuff that are like player movement, attacks, how to use Godot, etc. And because my focus is a fighting game, Metroidvania, so kind of I need to. And I also just couldn't find anything like online. There was very, very little that had like an amazing quality. Um, oh, there's also the combo attack system. Maybe did I make a script for that? Yes, I did. Let me put Python here. It's the closest language, but it's not the same. Um, Putting in Go is actually pretty good. Maybe I should be using Go then, rather than Python as the thing for Markdown. They're pretty similar though. Yeah, this might be a bit better. I don't know. Actually, is this better read with Python? Yeah, there's more color variety. Yeah, this one has more color variety in it. Mm, this one also would be better with Python. I guess maybe there's Python is better. Don't, can't, I don't know, man. I need to handle frame stuff. What was the thing I needed? I said that I wanted to put here alongside it. Frame by frame stuff, variable management, projectiles, timers. Wait, maybe the projectile case, I guess? Or the projectiles? Stun manager, switching sides, spacing right. I don't remember. Hmm, I guess not. Guess I'll just make the animation, make the last script for the current list of scripts. That's probably the plan for next time. Um, I have the stun manager already existing. From stun manager, maybe from scratch. Yeah. Once I have a good animating tool, I can use that, and then I'll be good to go, I think. Then I can make a character, level, character move sets, maybe draw a little if I, which might not be most practical for streaming because I don't have a drawing tablet or a side thing that I can use to draw, nor do I have practice with either of those. Yeah, most of my drawing has been pencil and paper. Okay. Additionally, there are my side projects that I want to do. I also need to study like other games and people more for what they might be looking for in their games, for fighting games. Um, and just note that down, maybe ask some people around, send some interviews, questions or something. But yeah, okay. Um, that will be all for today. Take care. I hope this was of some benefit. And I will probably be tomorrow.